Yo, 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 what is up? It is a little Tuesday night action on the late night tip. Me and Robert are coming here. We're gonna talk some Bills.
Let's go.
It's the day, sometimes the days just get out of hand, dude. When you have to have a 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I heard you had a rough one, but we get to talk about an incredible game, Sterling.
Dude.
An incredible game, an incredible team, an incredible start to the season so far. And so I want you to take that negativity and wash it away as we talk about a dominating win for the Buffalo Bills. Because you should be in a good mood right now.
What negativity are you talking about, sir? Because I have none. None.
You're the most negative person I know. What are you talking about?
That's bull. See, the light you paint me in front of the listeners, bro. That's just not. That ain't cool. Now, don't do your boy like that. Now,
I didn't paint you in nothing, man.
You took the brush and you painted me a color that I'm not.
No colors, I promise.
All right. Well, you're right though. We do get to talk about the Bills. That's probably the only thing I'll say you're right about right now, is that we get to talk about the Bills, and that game was simply phenomenal. Let me ask you a question though. Did it give you shades of the perfect game against the Patriots in the playoffs? Were you feeling like that?
It came up in the bar. We have a Bills bar, a lot of Bills fans. And, it definitely got mentioned. Like, are they going to do it again? And I think they could have. If they kept their foot on the gas, I think they could have. But, regular season, don't want people getting hurt in garbage time. Take your foot off the gas a little bit, sit everybody down. But, absolutely dominating. And for so many different reasons, we talked about in the offseason a lot of these things in terms of what we hoped. Like what we thought the Bills could be at their highest level. And here we are again, reaching that peak like we did last week. And to me, it's one of those things where this is what you talked about, it being at its best.
Yeah, it is simply phenomenal. I didn't expect the Bills to be this good. And I don't know, there's some caution here because I don't know how good they're gonna be or how good they are just based off of 3 games, but everything looks the part. We can at least say that.
I agree with you. Let's start with caution, right? Because how good did they look after the Washington game last year? Right? That 3 games into last season, they looked as incredible as you could imagine. So, lot of time left in the season. We're not celebrating anything, but there were a lot of question marks coming into this year. And we can start going down the list. Let's talk about the play calling last night.
Oh man. Both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball, but I'm thinking Joe Brady, we talked about that LSU offense that he ran. Man, it sure looks like that.
Similar.
Now, does he have that talent? No. But the way that he is creating matchups, making easy reads for Josh Allen, we for years, and it was before we were on a podcast together, so it was just us in the bar, and you weren't the only person I had the conversation with, but it was, why can't Josh Allen's receivers get yards after catch? Well, part of the problem might have been the scheme, because good Lord, right? And
yeah.
These passes, these short passes, they're just extended run plays. So I looked it up real quick, yards after catch. Shakir's got 168 yards on the season. He's got 117 yards after the catch.
Incredible. It's incredible, man. Yeah, there definitely has been a philosophical change offensively. Ken Dorsey's offense versus Joe Brady's offense. It's completely different, it feels like. We saw shades of, even though Joe Brady was offensive coordinator, middle of the season, we still saw shades of Ken Dorsey, because you can't just simply throw out, you You can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? Like, so we saw some overlapping, but now it feels like this offseason, he's really taking the bull by the horns and just run with this thing. I love it. The
Absolutely.
creativity has been amazing. Pre-snap, dog.
And it's a different offense. Like last year, you can tell he was calling Dorsey's offense. This is his offense, you know? And it's just been incredible. I mean, the matchups that he's able to generate, that first drive, I mean, it's another thing I like about Brady, man. He just kills you with a play call. Like when he finds something that works, he will just run it 10 different ways until you figure out a way to stop it. And that first drive, the first couple drives, it was that orbit motion, right? Like he would bring mostly Shakir, but sometimes Mac, and bring them across the formation and then loop them back around. And he'd get open. He'd get James Cook open with it. He'd get Shakir open with it, taking 15-yard chunk plays. And even Chris Fowler, you know, calling the game. Was that Chris Fowler or Reese Davis? I don't even know. I think it was Chris Fowler. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Even he was like, man, the Bills are just getting chunk plays on this opening drive.
Yeah. I mean, the first play to James Cook on the 20-yard little throw and catch there. I mean, you know, I don't know if that was Samuel Hollins, but basically just a quick little pick play was able to free up James Cook on the sideline.
I think it was Mac.
Mac Hollins, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the creativity, man. I mean, the just and the dedication to include the backs in the pass game. The way, I mean, Ty Johnson touchdown catch. James Cook should have had a touchdown catch. I mean, it's just fun. It's just great, man. It's nice to see. I don't agree with Colin Cowherd saying, you know, Josh Allen is coordinator dependent. I don't think.
Oh, we don't even. Do we even have to?
No, but I mean, some people out there might believe that mess.
I
love Colin.
I do too. I think he does a great job. I just think he was off on that one.
He was off on that one. But yeah, Joe Brady. I mean, the only negative thing about that is that he's going to be a head coach.
I mean, he's definitely going to start getting interviews. But one thing at a time, dog. You know what I mean?
No,
like let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Hey, no, you know.
He's got this year, maybe next year too. By that time, Davis Webb will be ready to come back and be offensive coordinator, and we'll be good to go, dog.
Hopes and dreams, dog. Hopes and dreams.
In Denver. Listen, man, they had 122 yards rushing. James Cook had 39. Ray Davis had 22. Ty Johnson had 18. Josh Allen led the way with 44. But when I'm looking at these stats, you know, the extension of the run game, Curtis Samuel, 3 catches, 22 yards. I bet you all 3 of those were behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, James Cook, 4 catches, 48 yards. I know 3 of those were behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe all 4. Ty Johnson, 3 catches, 28 yards. He had that long one. But my point is they're finding ways to get creative running the football. And you know, when I previewed this game a little bit, I talked about that Jags defensive line. They're legit. I mean, that is a good defensive line. I think that team is better than they've looked so far. They're going to have a hard time holding it together with an 0-3 start. But, you know, creating different ways to get your playmakers the ball, I mean, it just looked easy out there. It looked easy for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, Foye Olakun, great young linebacker. Devin Lloyd, another rangy, fast linebacker. I mean, the likes of who else is on the defense? Joshua Hines Allen, Eric Armstead, Trayvon Walker. I mean, we did not hear those names being mentioned.
Non-factors, because one, the offensive line is playing great, but they schemed out of the game too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, listen, it mattered to me to talk about it because coaching matters. You know what I mean? And I have been here saying that there were question marks at both the coordinator positions. It's early. Yes. I see Matt with his comment talking about it being early. Yes, it is early. We no doubt about it. We know that. But they have been good so far. And when they were question marks coming into the year, I've been real happy with the play calling from Joe Brady. Babich, I think, struggled a little bit in the first game. I think he's been lights out since then. And sure, McDermott probably has a strong hand in that. But, I mean, and you got to give McDermott credit. Now, listen, I don't want to back off the criticism from the offseason where I said I'm worried about him in pressure situations. We haven't seen him in any pressure situations because they've been killing everybody. When everything goes to plan, he's an incredible coach. It's when it's down to the wire, you get punched in the face, that there are differences between him and other guys. And so, I mean, props to him, man. I think he's taken 2 young coordinators, empowered them, and they've been really good.
Yeah, man. Listen, you know, I mean, we're gonna give Joe Brady the credit he deserves, because I think even last year there was criticisms. I know I had some criticisms of his game, and looking at him this year, again, Josh Allen isn't dependent on a coordinator, but it definitely does help him. It definitely does help him, and Joe Brady has provided the spark that they need. I mean, you know, it's just been amazing to see. Now on the other side of the ball, Bobby Babich, bruh. I mean, we've seen, you know, hit the fruits of his labor, what he's been able to do with, you know, Poyer and Hyde and you know, the young linebackers that we have. Like, what he's doing as a coordinator, I mean, come on, man. It's like, it's amazing too. Like, he's balling out. He is balling.
Listen, they right now are 7th in the league in points against. 7th. They've given up 48 points this season. That was with a tough day, week 1. And that is with the constant shot that ESPN kept going to, where you could see Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard and Taron Johnson standing on the sideline in strip clothes. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. And credit to Brandon Beane for drafting some of these guys who are coming in and making a difference in later rounds. Credit to McDermott for coaching them up.
Yeah.
Credit to Babich for calling a defense that matters. And credit to that entire coaching staff for having these guys ready to go. And we watched Balin Spector and Dorian Williams yesterday not take a step back in any kind of way from 2 all-pro caliber linebackers. I mean, it's incredible.
Did you see? I hear you mention Dorian Williams now. You know, I checked, he's a guy. He's a guy that you don't like you're not very fond of, and
you didn't get to hear my mea culpa last week. You were a little busy.
You know. Now
listen, I was happy to say last week that I thought he put together a real nice game against the Dolphins.
There you go. I like to hear that.
This week, happy to say once again that I felt like he put together a real solid game against the Jaguars.
Didn't he though?
Good in pass coverage, didn't get caught up in the wash. A couple times he had to take the running back as a man-on-man and, you know, had throws down the field, and he was right there step for step with them. I thought he has put together 2 really nice games. Doesn't mean I'm sold on him.
Hey, now, hold on now, listen.
But as a starting caliber NFL linebacker, absolutely. I'm in.
Did you see Dorian carry and squeeze Travis Etienne on that wheel right in the end zone?
I sure did.
I don't know if anybody else saw that out there, but
now
it
listen,
looked great, didn't it?
It was great coverage.
Yeah, it was.
But it was kind of a blown assignment by the Jags.
He should have picked. He should have picked him there. Tight end should have picked him.
And so when the tight end doesn't do his job, it makes it a whole lot easier for Dorian to carry him and squeeze him. But
it does.
Credit, he was in the right spot. He knew his job. He did what he needed to do. Like I said, he played real well. And Balin Spector too. Give him credit too, man. Yeah. Those are 2 guys that we were not expecting to have to count on this year. And I mean, playing big time.
Yeah, man. It's nice to see. Javon Solomon got himself a sack. Welcome to the party. Look, so for those of you who don't know, I've been pumping the train for Javon Solomon since the Bills drafted him. I just feel like he's toolsy. I think he has, you know, enough of a pass rush, just smorgasbord of moves. And we saw that on display last night, albeit against, what was against Cam Robinson, so it was a starter.
Yeah,
But
starting line, but Mac Jones.
It's Mac Jones. But even if Lawrence was there, I think that inside move that he had,
it was a nice
disengaging, poking the ball out. It's a good chance, even if Trevor Lawrence was in the game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence likes to spin when there's no one around. He probably would have knocked that ball out. But yeah, man, it was nice to see Javon Solomon. Welcome to the NFL, big guy. Dog.
Well, and a couple guys late in the game got in and got their first real taste of playing time. Buffalo Joe gets his first tackle. I saw.
I did not see that.
I mean, it was just a tackle down the field. It wasn't anything spectacular, but just the fact he was dressed, he got in the game, get your feet wet, even if that is the highlight of his NFL career. I mean, you did it, dog. You were on the NFL field for your hometown team. So I thought that was kind of cool as an end of that story. And then you move to the more impactful guys. Damar Hamlin gets his first pick. You know what I mean? Like, it was across the board a celebratory night.
Yeah. We should mention Christian Benford and his play, because that guy
on the list.
He's so good, man. He's so good. I mean, he is the epitome of perfection for a Sean McDermott defense. Like, long, rangy, long arms, smart, loves to poke the ball out. He's got really good ball skills. I mean, listen, man, I think he's probably a top 5 corner. I think people will soon see him as a top 5 corner in NFL by the end of the season.
He is playing like the best quarter in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And it has been incredible how much it's meant to this defense that they can lean on their 2 corners to just go out there and, I mean, be great. Play in and play out. And the numbers suggest that Benford's been the best corner
for sure.
In McDermott's scheme. I don't know that he'll ever get that credit, and I think part of it is that he's a late round pick. Like, he won't ever get that kind of love, but he has been so good. I mean, so good. And it allows them to do things to help cover up other areas that might not be as strong. Linebacker, safety, right? Like, you can make changes and do things differently to get those guys more help, because you don't have to help your corners because they've been playing that well.
So PFF gives him a grade of an 84.8 on the season coverage grade. That is he's second of 97 cornerbacks in the league right now. Second.
You know how they do the EPA / grids?
Yeah.
He is way up here, man.
Yeah.
He is just and like I said, especially in this McDermott defense, D-backs do not seem to get the credit that they deserve. Took years and years of Poyer and Hyde being great for them to get recognized as all pros. So I just don't know that he'll ever get the credit that he deserves. But man, he has been good. He has been so good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's nice to see.
And Rasul too. I mean,
yeah,
Benford has been better, but Rasul Douglas has played good football, man.
Yeah, Rasul Douglas is man, what he did against Gabe Davis last night on the sideline. That was something nice too. I loved it.
Brandon Ingram playing well. He gets
Jamarcus Ingram, dog. He's 15th of 97 cornerbacks, man. 15th.
Yeah, man. A bunch of people that you didn't expect to be contributing. Even Damar Hamlin, like I didn't expect him to get this much playing time. When you went over the safeties at the beginning of the year, we all kind of knew Rapp was going to be in there. I just did not expect him to get as much playing time as he's gotten, and he's been good, man. He's been solid. So, listen, they got a big test coming up this week with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It's a totally different type of offense to try to corral. So it'll be interesting to see how they do there, but they've played lights out so far, and I'm starting to that trust that I have in McDermott. Like, he'll have guys ready, he'll have a good game plan. I'm starting to get there with Babbage too.
Yeah.
Knowing that McDermott's over his shoulder.
And before we get off the show tonight, we'll talk a little bit of Ravens, but there's something I wanted to chat at you about, and that is the idea that Joshua Patrick Allen could be the NFL MVP by season's end. Doesn't it feel different? Doesn't this year with Josh feel a lot different than years past?
I mean, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like a breath of fresh air. And the Bills in their press conferences and their media availabilities, I feel like have been going out of their way to say that it feels different, that there's an unselfishness to the room, that there's a care for winning, and that the fun is back. And it feels like he's having fun, doesn't it?
It does, man. It does. If there's one thing that I could point out about Josh Allen this season, it's patience. He is showing extraordinary patience in the pocket. Whereas, I think in years past we would see him, leave the pocket too soon to go try to make a play. I feel like he's taking his time. He's the offensive line up front, they're playing lights out. But Josh Allen's taking his time, he's surveying the field, and he's delivering the football. His ball placement has been superb. Mechanics on point. Like, this dude at this rate, Josh, there is no question that Josh Allen will be the MVP.
And I think we all kind of want it more because we feel like he's owed at least one, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it was a little bit taken away from him a couple different years. And so I feel like the Mafia is a little bit higher on it, like making sure that we get him one. I think is
dog.
I think the Mafia cares. You know what I mean? And so I'd love to see this continue for a full year, but that goes back to the yards after catch thing. You know, you were talking about ball placement. It's, hitting Shakir on that crossing route right in the hands, right in stride, so he doesn't have to break stride and can get right into the end zone. And to your point about the patience, the Kincaid touchdown, you see his timer go off in his head, and he thinks he's going to run and get out of there, and he realizes, wait, I'm okay. And he takes an extra second in the pocket to let Kincaid start crossing the back of the end zone. Then he rolls out and hits Kincaid for the touchdown. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's looked great.
Madison says it was a good Bills performance, and there should be a feel-good factor surrounding the team, but it's kind of wild how far Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville have fallen since 10 months ago. T-Law hasn't won, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they've lost probably 8 of their last 10 or something like that, 9 of their last 10 games. They just haven't looked the part. And you know what? Jacksonville, like, if you would ask me how good do you think this Jacksonville team is before the season, I would have told you, like, yeah, they're going to be competing for a playoff spot. Trevor Lawrence getting paid, so he's not having to worry about that whole thing. And, Brian Thomas Jr., adding Gabe Davis with Christian Kirk, and on paper, you look at the offense, Evan Ingram, like 110, 12 catches last year.
They've got pieces.
I mean, it's like, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? That and it's Trevor. I think he's peaked.
It was a team that I thought was going to compete for a division.
Yeah.
I thought Houston's schedule was going to get tougher and make it hard on them. And I thought their schedule was going to get easier. And I really thought, like you said, with all the pieces, I mean, they got a defensive line. They got an offensive line. Like, they are an impressive group on paper. and some's holding him back. Somebody said, and I think this was an apt observation. Somebody said on Twitter, like, Doug Peterson looks bored.
Doug Peterson looks clueless, dog.
That's what I'm saying. Like, seems like he's got no idea what's happening out there.
And you know, I don't hate Doug Peterson.
I don't either.
But you know what I do? What I don't like about Doug? How he chews. God, I can't stand how that man chews his gum. Bro, I know it's weird.
That is weird.
It's weird, but God dang, son, like, close your effing mouth. It's just nasty.
Oh.
It's just nasty, bro. I can't stand the way he chews. Oh God. You ever see?
I don't know how to reply to that.
You ever been to a work lunch or on a date, and you see somebody?
No, I've never been on a date. So,
well, if you ever you have a job, so you may not date, but you got a job, and you eat with people, and you see how they chew, and it's just like, bro, I can't. I just lose my appetite, bro. I can't.
Keep that in mind next time I eat with you, make sure staying a fair distance away from you,
my dog,
with my chewing. Now, I mean, listen, the chewing aside, it's going to be hard for Jacksonville to hold this thing together.
Yeah, it's over.
The question is, how many more losses before you fire him and you try to get that interim coach bump and see if you can get this thing turned back in the right direction? Houston's only 2-1 right now. I mean, it's not like you're out of reach, but you got to start piling on some wins if you're the Jags. So it'll be interesting to see what happens down there.
Yeah, you know, over under. How many games is it gonna take? How many games?
Before he gets fired?
Yeah.
I thought there was a possibility it might happen today.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Peterson fired today? You thought?
I thought there was a possibility. I mean, dude, that was an embarrassment. The Bills straight smacked them. And this is a Bills podcast, not a Jacksonville podcast, so I don't know. I mean, I won't get off on it too much, but they were out executed. And when you don't lose because of a talent deficit or something like that, when you lose because you're getting out executed 47-10, I mean, and it could have been worse, man. Everybody's talking about Josh Allen's final stat line. Oh, 75% passing, 23 of 30, whatever. Man, he could have had 500 yards passing. I mean, they could have creamed him. They could have killed him if they wanted to. And McGee called off the dogs.
Oh, buddy.
I'm just saying, man.
Under. What? Over under. How many games?
Before he gets fired?
Yeah.
I don't know that he will. I mean, he can still get this thing turned around. He's got to get a couple wins, but he can still get this thing turned around. But yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the first coach to go if I'm looking at the state of the NFL right now. A bunch of 0-2 teams got a win Sunday, and got up off the mat. He's going to be in a tough spot. And, the other 0-3 teams, like, I don't think Zach Taylor is getting fired.
No, I don't think he's getting fired either. But I do think the Jaguar defensive coordinator might get fired before the head coach gets fired.
Maybe.
What do you think about that?
Maybe. I mean, listen, I'm not a big Trent Baalke guy either, so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I did want to ask you, so you said the feel of Josh Allen. Like,
okay.
It feels like he's having more fun this year.
Yeah.
And I had kind of thought the same thing, but like the feel of the team, I guess I want to say. Like it's Allen's got a different vibe. And we had talked about in years past, Diggs came in before Josh Allen was Josh Allen. And
right.
So it wasn't really all Josh's team. It was Josh's team, but it wasn't really Josh's team. There's another superstar in there that still had a voice, and it was just the way it was. And when you get rid of that voice, good, bad, and different, doesn't mean that voice was negative, but when you get rid of that voice and it's just one voice, it's just Josh Allen's voice, Because like your other star is Deion Dawkins, right? Like he's your only other guy on offense. He's been around for a long time. A good left tackle in the league, has elevated his play the last couple of years, I think. But he's not. First of all, he wouldn't try to take the spotlight from Josh, and
Right.
he's not going to try to be like maybe in the locker room a little bit, but that's Josh's team now. It's Josh's offense, and I feel like it. If you can feel the difference this year, no, like with the team in general, you can feel the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the difference. I mean, I think before we can even really attack your statement, I think we got to go back and understand like Josh Allen's a very emotional driven type of player. We're talking about the guy who throws up before every game. We talk about sugar high Josh. I mean, this guy is just jacked up on emotion. And so I think, like you mentioned, when the vibes aren't right, it affects him heavily, big time. Big time. And it's nice to see, you know, I don't even want to call it distractions, but maybe getting some of the bad juju out of the locker room, you
Just the
know?
other voice, just the
Yeah.
fact that there was another voice. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's no question now whose team it is,
Yeah.
who we listen to when we go into the locker room, and that's not saying anything negative about Steph. It's not saying
Right.
anything negative about Gabe, but it just I don't know. I mean, it feels like everybody's pulling in the same direction all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I think that's the missing piece for this football team. It's not I don't think it's you and I talked. I don't think, there's not a player that they're going to bring in that we're going to say, "Oh yeah, this guy, he's going to make it to where the Bills are going to overtake the Chiefs." I really do think that they may have everything they need in that locker room, but it's the mindset. It's that mindset to get over that hump. And I mean, you got 3 Buffalo Bulls on the roster that are contributing and making plays. Andreessen, he had his little shine in the preseason, but hey, I mean, we haven't had to use him. But yeah, man, I think all that little stuff matters. Putting guys around Josh Allen that are like-minded. Like all these guys around him are hungry. It's what it seems like. It feels like us not being in the locker room. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I could do some digging and find out, from various peoples.
You should, because I do think, but I think they've gone out of their way to say it in press conferences and media
Mhm.
availability, that they feel like it's different. So I don't think that we're saying it out of turn. It just, again, I don't want to take shots at what they were in past years. But I will say this, you're saying beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, and of course that's where the conversation leads immediately. As you
Right.
look at the AFC and you say these are the top 2 teams, it goes right back to, well, Josh Allen can't beat him in the playoffs. Talk, they've been so close.
Very.
They've been so close. Like Josh Allen has gotten let down in a myriad of different ways. And so like to act like the Chiefs are so far ahead of the Bills, nah, man. No.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I mean
listen.
he's gotta actually do it. Don't get me wrong, but they're not out of reach, man. We're not afraid. I'm not afraid of them. I'm definitely not afraid.
Oh,
Of
I'm afraid now. Let's not get it
them.
twisted.
I'm not afraid of them.
Speaking of standings, let's check this out real quick. AFC conference. Let's look at the conference standings, man. So the undefeated teams we have are the Bills, the Steelers, surprisingly, and the Chiefs are all undefeated. Some notable surprises. I think we probably should start with the AFC North with the Bengals 0-3, the Browns 1-2, Baltimore 1-2. AFC South, Titans. I mean, 0-3. I could see that. But the Jaguars 0-3, that's surprising. The Colts 1-2, young quarterback there. I mean, that's to be expected. The Texans have a cakewalk here for that division. But the AFC West, Kansas City 3-0, Chargers 2-1, Vegas Raiders 1-2, along with the Denver Broncos. What stands out to you in this conference?
I'll start with, you were mentioning the AFC North. I'll start with the fact that I think that division could completely flip by the time the year's over. I
Okay.
don't think the Bengals are cooked. I don't think the Bengals are legitimate Super Bowl contenders, but I think they could jump up and bite somebody in the playoffs, and I do think that they can get there. And I don't believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have
Bruh, I
watched
don't
an
either. I do not either.
inordinate amount of Steeler football through these first 3 weeks, and I hate to say it's like lucky ball, but I mean, they can't score, dog. Cannot score. They
Yeah.
cannot score. And don't get me wrong, their defense is great, but I'm looking right now. 54 points scored. The Bills have 117. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a game against the Broncos, which, I don't think the Broncos are total garbage, but they're not great. Atlanta has not looked great to start the season, and I think the Chargers are a little bit of a fraud. So, I'm not in on the Steelers yet. Something looks off in Baltimore. I don't know what that is, but they almost gave up another double-digit lead,
Yeah.
And so I'm worried about Baltimore, and the Bills can bury them next week, in my opinion. You can really make things ugly in Baltimore if you go
Yeah. I
in
mean,
there on Sunday
one and
Night Football and
three.
beat them. And so, I think that division has a chance to completely flip and end up with somebody like the Bengals on the top with, 10 wins, something like that. So that's the
Man,
first thing that sticks out to
the
me.
Bengals?
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
dog. Uh-uh.
I'm not out on them yet.
I am, bro. Oh, they're 0-3.
Yeah.
I have more hope in the Ravens recovering than I do the Bengals. Think about it. That defense is a shell of itself. Defensive line, at least. Interior. You have 2 wide receivers looking for big contracts. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Joe Burrow is recovering from a major surgery still. And that offensive line has never been great. And their best left tackle, Dwayne Brown, or what's his name? He's out. He got injured yesterday. They got some major holes. And not to mention, they don't have much of a run game. So I just don't see the recipe for them to turn it around.
I think my takeaway from the North, because when I say it like, oh, the Bengals could get back into it, it makes it sound like I'm a buyer of the Bengals, like I'm a believer. And I'm not out. They have holes. I think all of them have holes.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think the Browns have the best roster in the division, and they don't have a quarterback. I think the Steelers are just okay across the board. They've got a game wrecker in TJ Watt. I like a couple other guys on their defense. Porter's nice. Fitzpatrick's nice. But I think the Browns have a better defense than the Steelers do. But the
best
Steelers
defense in that division.
The Steelers have a better quarterback than the Browns do. I think the Ravens are hurt when they lose coordinators because John Harbaugh is a CEO. He's not a coach, right? Like he's not coaching up a side of the ball. He's a CEO. And I get it. That's appealing to have. But when you lose your defensive coordinator to Seattle, who, by the way, doing okay there.
Michigan,
you know what
man.
I mean?
Michigan, man.
Doing okay there, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
So I think that matters. And I think it hurts teams like the Ravens when that kind of thing happens. I think the North isn't as threatening as maybe we thought it was to start the year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Is getting home field advantage imperative for this Bills team to make the Super Bowl, in your opinion? We'll both answer that. I think absolutely. It isn't. It's. Yeah, man. They got to do it. They need it. They need home field advantage. They need to be the number 1 seed. I think that makes it a lot easier for them to make it to the Super Bowl.
You ready for me to go hot take here?
You're gonna be like, oh, they could be the number 6 seed, and
I know people are gonna hate me saying it, but just look at the division leaders right now, man. Like, which one of these places are you afraid to go play a game with Josh Allen at quarterback?
None
Because
of
like
them.
I understand Arrowhead can be intimidating, but I don't think Josh has played enough games there. I don't think he's afraid of it. Aside from Arrowhead, though, are you afraid of going to Houston and playing in a dome in 70-degree weather? Are you
God,
scared of
no.
going to Pittsburgh with an offense that can't score? Are you
Nope.
scared of the Jets, the Ravens, the Bengals?
No.
Right? Like
No.
as you go down you scared to go to LA? Like let's say the Chargers end up winning that division and you have to go to LA to play a playoff game. I mean, it's going to be a beach vacation. so do I think it's imperative for them to make the Super Bowl? I don't. And I think it's been a little bit of a struggle at times. Their schedule gets thrown off at times because of how bad the weather is in Western New York.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily talking about the gameplay itself, but when you get 7 feet of snow and you can't have meetings and you can't have practice because nobody can get out of their house, it affects it.
Yeah.
So, if they were playing that game in Houston this year, instead of playing Kansas City in Buffalo, do they fly down to Houston early and just practice down there? You know what I mean? I don't know. So, but I guess at the end of the day, all I'm saying is I don't think it's imperative for them to make it to the Super Bowl. Do I think it helps? Always helps to play at home.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean,
especially in front of that crowd.
Looking at the schedule and the perceived power rankings in the AFC. So one of these teams is going to catch fire, right? They're going to like fix their season. I just don't think it's going to be the Bengals. But so yeah, I mean, things look, it's only week 3. Well, week 4 now. Things are going to look a little bit different towards the middle and toward the end of the season. But right now, it feels like it's a 2-horse race, and that's the Chiefs and the Bills.
And that's how it's felt for 4 years. You know what I mean? I really do believe that. And that doesn't mean other teams can't jump up and bite you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they feel like the dudes right now. And if you're looking at the rest of the AFC, the other teams that you're like legitimately afraid of, you play them all in the next couple weeks.
Right.
Like you get the Ravens on Sunday Night Football, and you can send them to 1-3 and make them have a disastrous first quarter of the season and have a hole to dig out of if you handle your business and beat them. Right?
Next 3 games on the road.
Houston is 2-1. You go down there for a Sunday day matchup,
Beatable.
And if they win a game, you have a chance to put 2 losses in between you and them for AFC seeding purposes, right?
Yep.
If you go down there and take care of your business, right? If, and then you get the Jets on Monday Night Football, and if you have the first 2 division games of the year in Miami and in New York, the 2 other teams that people thought might be able to win this division, and you win both of them, going to feel like the AFC East is locked up in week 6.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a big couple of weeks here for the Bills. You can do a lot of damage inside the AFC if you play like you did the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and the back half of that schedule, I mean, outside of the Chiefs and the Niners, they got the Chargers and Detroit. I mean, it's not a daunting schedule. Like I look at that and I go, there's maybe on the back end of that schedule, there's probably one game that the Bills won't be favored in, and that's against the Chiefs.
You get a little break in the middle, right? Tennessee, Seattle is
not worried about
tough.
Seattle. Well, that's tough.
I'm not worried
at
either,
Seattle.
but it'll be at Seattle, so it'll be a tough game. Then you get Miami. Is
not worried about that.
What are they? You know what I mean? Then you get the Colts, who don't look great right now. Again, one of these teams could easily catch fire.
Yeah.
But then you hit the next hard part of your schedule. You get KC, San Francisco, Rams, and then Detroit. You got to go 2-2 there, right?
Right.
And then you finish with Patriots, Jets, Patriots. So yeah,
and 2
I
of the
mean,
3 games at home.
yeah, like to me, this next 3 weeks is so important. I mean,
Yeah,
you can really lay the wood to the rest of the AFC, and put your stamp on it. And then we're talking about who gets the 1 seed is the only
right.
question. You know what I
Bills
mean?
fans, get excited. Get excited, man.
I
This
think
is,
so.
I mean, the fact that they've come out and won 3 games the way that they have, that's exciting, and it looks it's barring injury, it looks pretty promising. I mean, and I get so wrapped up in this before the season, but, we look at the schedule and we go, "Damn, like, the Bills, they got a tough schedule." In the NFL, it tells you that it's a week-to-week league, right? And,
100%.
it's hard to gauge. I always forget that maybe because in April, May, we're so far removed from real football that, you're projecting what these teams are gonna look like, how they're gonna feel, and then, you're looking at San Francisco letting the Rams come back. I mean, it's just and losing the game is just wild to me.
Hey, what did I tell you about those Niners?
Dog, you were right, man. I picked them to win, not only to win the game, but to cover the spread on Sunday, and they let me down, bro.
They just had too much bullshit in the offseason. Just too much stuff going on. And I just felt like it was going to affect their first quarter of the season. Now,
Yeah,
at some point, everybody's going to be back. You're going to have CMC back. You're going to have Debo back, and they will turn back into the machine that we all know them as. No doubt about it. But I just think there is definitely going to be some assimilation time for them to get ready. But for the Niners, it's not about the regular season, right? Like,
right.
it's about February if you're a 49ers fan.
Boy, Dave says that was a great win. Let's handle the next 3 games and where we are. Yeah, I mean, it's next 3 games are going to be pivotal. I think the Bills win all 3. I think they win all 3.
If
Yeah,
they win all 3, they are going to be Super Bowl favorites in the 1 seed.
yeah, and we need that.
Do we? We've had that before.
Hey,
And it hasn't worked out great.
well, the new year.
But they haven't had the 1 seed. To be fair, so of course the Bills get good when they do away with the 2 seed having the bye, right? Like that is the very first year they do away. They add a 7th seed. You don't get your bye week anymore. The Bills start winning the 2 seed all the time.
Right.
They haven't had the 1 yet.
No.
And having that week off might just be what they've been missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might be the difference.
Here's a quick question for you. Did you know that the Bills and the Michigan Wolverines share a tradition? Did you know this?
But I thought
Did you know this?
So the Baltimore Ravens.
No.
Yeah. Baltimore Ravens.
Can I tell you?
Run through a little.
Because obviously you don't. You don't.
2
care
really
enough.
good tight ends. So you got to be careful.
Well.
Right?
I mean, there's many correlations.
They can
however
exploit some of the weakest parts of your defense when you're talking about your linebackers and your safeties. So you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna match up with Likely and Andrews.
You're going too deep. You're going too deep, and it's not even that serious.
I don't think any of their wide receivers are a huge threat to the point where you need to help out Benford or Douglas. So that's a nice thing.
You're missing
as well as they've.
You're missing it all. You're missing. Can I tell you?
Honestly, their offensive line, I think they took a chance on a couple guys here. I think you can eat on the defensive line. You've been controlling the trenches the last 2 weeks. I think you have an opportunity to do that against this Ravens.
Listen, I do appreciate the fact that you are just such an astute student of the game. But you know what? There is one thing that you didn't mention, and that is Mr. Brightside by the Killers being played at the beginning of the 4th quarter at Michigan Stadium and Highmark Stadium. It is now a tradition. So
not only do I not like that tradition, I also hate that song.
Yeah, well, you know what? Millions of people like it. So there's that. There's
I am
that.
very much in the minority on that.
Okay, first of all, you are not gonna throw slander on the Killers' debut album, Hot Fuss.
Yeah.
That album,
No, that just happened.
album is ridiculously good. Stop it.
I think if people tuned in and they were wondering which of us were going to argue for the Killers, they
Bro,
did not think it was going to be going.
dog, you. Something's
Listen,
wrong.
I understand everybody loves it. It's garbage. I don't know what to tell you.
Wow.
It's great. Have fun singing the song. Even if I was there, I would not be singing.
Wow. Dave, I don't care. Okay. You shut your mouth. Okay.
The man's got taste. What do you want me to tell you?
Listen.
Can we talk about how I think this might be a Curtis Samuel game?
On Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dude is going to have a day or two where
I don't know, man.
Where he pops.
I don't know. I've been waiting for him to show up this season. I haven't seen a Curtis Samuel sighting yet.
I like the way that they've been getting him the ball. I think it's an effective way to use him. I just think there are I'm not sure which game it's going to be, but there will be a Curtis Samuel game. And I just kind of feel like maybe this is coming up. But, I mean, no one's figured out how to stop James Cook yet. So, knowing Joe Brady, maybe he just keeps running it till somebody figures out how to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be a good matchup. You know, Sean McDermott, his defense has always fared well.
I got him off of it.
Your game is a secure game.
I got him off the Killers subject. Look at this.
Oh, now I could talk about it some more.
No. I got you off.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm just saying that at the bar is something we're just gonna have to start doing. So
not at all. There is no chance.
All right.
Nope.
Well,
as long as president is next to my name, that will not be happening.
See, power hungry, bro. Power hungry. Spin. It is the Killers, Mr. Brightside. That is the song. Okay.
Yeah, it's also 20 years old and wasn't good when it first came out.
It was good. Stop it. You're just a hater. But on to the Ravens we go.
Yeah.
You know, the Bills and Sean McDermott have seemed to have always had a good game plan against Lamar Jackson and his team. And I think that's going to continue. I think you're going to see I think they're going to come after Lamar Jackson. You know, you're going to have a spy in the middle. You're going to have, guys kind of coming after him on the edges. Now, the contain, if there's a game that you need your contain to be sound, it's this game because Lamar Jackson, as we know, can cause some headaches. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson's arm, sometimes I just feel like it's not there. Like good quarterback, but I think he still struggles throwing the ball. Sorry.
I don't love the positions he gets put in.
Sure.
Offensively. Mm-hmm. I don't think the coordinators have done him a ton of favors. So, that doesn't mean that I'll leave it at that. I don't think the coordinators have put him in great positions. I think an important question for the Bills is the guys that you would trust to spy him are wearing street clothes for this game. So are we talking about Dorian Williams here? You going to put Dorian Williams one-on-one with him? You put Baylon Spector one-on-one with him?
Absolutely. Let me tell you why. Because these are instinctual see-ball, get-ball linebackers. I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson and play action. I'm just not.
Why? He's got two incredible tight ends. Like play action.
He does. Could
be the death of us.
if anything, I'm worried about the safeties.
100%.
100%.
And that would be a good way to run an effective Baltimore offense. We haven't really seen as much of that as we thought we were going to, but I think it's definitely something to worry about because the strength of their team is the weakness of your defense.
Now, here's a question for you, though. I don't think hanging out in nickel all the time is going to be a good recipe to beat the Ravens in this offense with Derrick Henry in the backfield, albeit he's not the same Derrick Henry. I think you're going to have to use some 4-3 principles with 3 linebackers in this game, man.
Who? I mean, I love your idea. Don't get me
Joe
wrong.
Andreessen, bro, or
Whoa,
Nicholas Moreau.
yikes. Yikes.
I mean,
Listen, I love the
they're
Andreessen
gonna
story,
go
and I do
big.
think he offers you things as an NFL linebacker, but oh man, that is a big ask. Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna find ways to isolate whoever that is, either Moreau or Andreessen. They're gonna find ways to isolate him in coverage. Whether it's Likely or Andrews or somebody coming out of the backfield, they're going to find ways to isolate him in coverage, and that could be the death of you.
I think you're going to see some creeper looks, some cover one stuff. Putting the safety in the box a little bit more. I think that'll kind of help take away the middle of the field. You have to protect the middle of the field.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you put in a guy like Edwards or Bishop and let them run a deep field safety, and you take Rapp and Hamlin and bring them up?
Bring them in.
Right. And still only run 2 linebackers, but run 3 safeties and let those guys kind of be.
I'd be okay with that.
Hybrid type positions.
Yeah. Taylor Rapids is going to have to be gap sound. His front fits are going to have to be good. Whereas sometimes I feel like when he's put in those positions, he gets a little over aggressive. But I don't worry about Hamlin in that type of role. I feel like Hamlin can do that role well.
That's interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would rather you do that than put Moreau or Andreessen on the field. But I also have been proved wrong by this team's development of defensive talent several times. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's something to if you're looking for a storyline, I mean, it's going to be something to examine as we watch this game unfold, because I think that's the key. Take away the middle of the field for Lamar, make sure your edge is contained, and it's over. Make him throw the ball outside the numbers and be accurate.
What about on the other side of the ball?
Run the football. You got to run. I think you run the football and use play action, man. I keep doing what you've been doing.
So this is a deep shot game for you then? You want to be going over the top of these guys? Is that how you're feeling?
I don't know if I want to go over the top, but I think you need to exhaust, intermediate level of the field.
Because to be fair, that's the one thing that this Bills offense hasn't really done yet. They haven't had to, but it's the one thing they haven't really done yet. A couple 25-yard throws, which are considered big plays, considered deep throws when you're looking at like analytics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they've taken a couple shots to MVS over the top. Other than that, they have not stretched anybody out. And they haven't had to. So if Joe Brady's keeping a couple clubs in the bag, I have no problem with that. You know what I mean? They've been killing fools other ways.
The thing is, who do you send deep? Right? Who do you trust?
This is why we drafted Keon Coleman. This is why you signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like you have to trust these guys at some point.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
if you're throwing it up to Coleman, you're throwing up a jump ball, right? You're saying he's going to win with his size and his athleticism. And if you're throwing it up to MVS, we're going to try to stretch this D.
Yeah. If I'm the Baltimore Ravens, they're going to run a lot of zone. You're going to see Kyle Hamilton play in the box a lot, right? So, they're going to key in on James Cook, right? And they're going to rely on Madubuike and Michael Pierce and Travis Jones to kind of stop the run. That's what they're going to do. So,
and nobody's been able to stop Cook yet, but it might be time that defenses change, because it's been a lot of stopping Dalton Kincaid early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the offseason thought, and definitely the Cardinals, also a little bit the Dolphins, and I haven't really done an in-depth look at the Jaguars, but it feels like people have been trying to take away Kincaid. So you said, okay, let me go after Cook. Well, now after 2 real good games, you really might get into a situation where it's take away Cook, and now you got to find another way to beat me.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how that looks.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to key in on Cook. So who's the weakest link on this defense? I say you attack Trenton Simpson, right? So he's gonna be, your right inside linebacker. Roquan is gonna travel with Kincaid Knox, right? Roquan's really good in coverage. And then you look at, maybe their nickel cornerback, whoever that is now, because Arthur Mollett is on injured reserve, right? Brandon Stevens. So Keon Coleman is probably somebody that you're gonna have to look at. Curtis Samuel. Look for
What
some
did I
plays there.
what did I say to you?
But we just gotta see it. That's all.
It might be the Curtis Samuel game.
It might be, dog.
It might be. It might be. Because I think he's gonna get whatever your worst coverage guy is on the field. Right.
Yeah.
Even if they're not scheming to stop Kincaid, they're going to give him their best coverage guy, who's an inside guy. They're going to give Shakir their best coverage guy, who's an outside guy. So it's probably Roquan Smith, and I don't know. But my point is, if you have somebody match with a matchup advantage, it's probably going to be Curtis Samuel.
And you know what? I think continue to do the amount of window dressing pre-snap that you've been doing. I think that's going to help Josh out, kind of see what they're doing coverage wise. And you might be right, man. Where this might be the game where they take a few shots deep. I think opportunities could be there.
It's something you feel like they got to do at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you creeping them safeties up. Okay, here we go.
Right. And if they're trying to take away James Cook, whether it's the short passes that you've been getting or the running game, if they're trying to take away Cook, you better get over top of them, even if it's just the threat. I think somebody said that in the comments too. Even if it's just the threat of going over top of them, right? You got to, if you're going to keep feeding Cook underneath, you've got to make sure you're stretching them out a little bit.
Yeah. So if Baltimore cannot get home with their pass rush and they're sitting in that zone, watch out. That's the key. They're gonna, if they want to key in on the run, bring those safeties up like they do, and expect, try to make Josh Allen make mistakes. I don't think that's going to be the recipe for success this week.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's going to work. So let's give our prediction for the game before we get up out of here. Man, it's I feel like this game needs to be tomorrow, don't you? I'm just ready.
I'm ready. I'm already ready for it.
I'm ready.
Already
like
ready.
This is the test of quarter one for the Bills. This is the boss, right? Level 1 boss is the Steelers here. I mean the Ravens.
I was gonna say Steelers.
My bad. I was maybe thinking about Sierra.
Bills getting 2.5. How's that tickle you?
Oh, I'm smashing that, dog.
Really?
Yeah.
There's something going on there. There's something going on.
Right? So see, this is why you do this kind of stuff, because we've been on the bandwagon. we've been riding high, bro. And you come in here with your caution, and you always do this.
I've been watching NFL lines for a long time. If it doesn't make sense, they know something that you don't. I'm telling you, man, the Bills are 3-0, coming off a 37-point victory on Monday Night Football, traveling to a 1-2 team, and they're getting 2.5 points. You could have excuse me. You could have had Bills -5 and still gotten money on them. So why is Vegas giving me 2.5 points? They know the NFL script, dog. The script writers sent it to them. It stinks. It stinks. It smells.
Okay.
That line stinks.
Mr. Gloom and Doom.
It's not doom and gloom.
You're saying the Bills are going to lose.
I'm just telling you. No, that's not what I said. I'm just telling you that line reeks.
What should the line be?
Probably Bills -2.5 is what I would have set it at if you would have asked me pregame.
So what's the Vegas motive? Like, what are they trying to get us to do?
I don't know what I don't know, but I'm telling you, there's.
Come on, I want you to speculate here. What do you think?
Maybe they told John Harbaugh that if he goes 1-3, he's got to fire one of his coordinators. I don't know, man.
The fix is in.
I don't know, man. I just that line stinks. It reeks.
Okay, so
how happy are you to take 2.5 points for the Bills? I mean, you said smash that. I think a lot of Americans feel that way. They were just on national TV.
I'm gonna tell you why.
37 points.
I told you why. I have a lot of confidence in this defense. I have a lot of confidence in the scheme and his defense. I mean, Jamarcus Ingram is playing out of his mind, right? Like that's huge. It's
not
very
Brandon
huge.
Ingram, the basketball player, like I said before.
yeah. He's playing out of his mind, man.
Listen, like I said, and you know, people are saying it in the comments. Thank you, everybody who's commenting and stuff like that. But the best part of their offense is the worst part of your defense, and not by design.
Right.
You had a bunch of injuries. It happens. But you had injuries at safety during camp. You had injuries at linebacker at the start of the season. Straight up the middle is your biggest problem. And Vegas must think that is a bigger advantage for the Ravens than they were betting on. But I mean, I bet if you go to one of those sites where you can see where the money is coming in on, I'm telling you, Bills are going to be getting a large percentage of the money, getting 2.5 points going to Baltimore. And it stinks, it smells funny, and it makes me real nervous for this game.
That's fair, though. So tell me how you betting it. How you going to bet it?
Well, if you watch our Sunday show, which Sterling and I do with our guy David, you know, I always say that I don't bet the Bills because I feel like I've got kind of rose-colored glasses there.
Sure.
If I was to bet against the spread, I would want to stay off of it. I really would, but I'd probably bet the Bills plus 2.5.
Yeah. But I understand how you came to your conclusion. I totally get it.
It stinks.
I totally get
it. Some fishy's going on. If it does, if you're happy about the line that you're getting, there's something going on. You should have constipation every time you go to place bet because you're not sure. You like it too much. You like the Bills plus 2.5 too much. If I was really betting this game, I'd probably easy with the all caps, Michael. We see you, dog. Sorry. If I was really betting this game, I'd probably go for the money line and just throw away the points and just take the Bills to win plus 115, get a little extra juice on it. What about you? You smashing the 2.5?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it probably makes more sense to take the money line.
I mean, plus 115 is a little extra juice for you.
Yeah. I might throw 25 on that game.
Oh God.
Just that game alone.
Duh.
Dog, I feel good about it, man. I feel good about it.
Been saying Vegas thinks is giving the Bills points because Vegas thinks the bettors will put money on Baltimore. Yeah, I understand that's how that works, but it stinks, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, they won by 37 yesterday. They won by 30. We stopped watching the game at halftime. We didn't actually, but like you stopped sweating the game at halftime. Josh Allen had 5 touchdowns before we went to half.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dog. Damn, what are we talking about here?
It feels good around here, man. Okay, let's give our score prediction for the game. Josh Allen stat line, and we're gonna get out of here.
All right, am I going first?
Yeah, you're gonna go first.
I think this is going to be a game where Josh is going to have to. It's going to be like Arizona. Like he's going to have to be in for 4 quarters here. So give me Josh Allen for 330 and 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to throw a pick too early in the game. And I'll take Bills. 31-30.
Oh, wow. Okay, I respect it. I hate it, but I respect it. Josh Allen I don't think he's going to throw 4 touchdowns in the first half. But I do think this is a 4-touchdown game for Josh Allen. Just 3 touchdowns, throwing 1 on the ground. I think he's going to have around 235 passing yards. I do think that Christian Benford's going to get an interception or forced fumble this game. Von Miller's going to get a sack also.
Listen to bonus picks here.
And then I think James Cook will probably have 70 yards rushing and combined receiving.
I was going to say, careful.
Bills are going to win. They're going to keep the streak alive. I think they win 34-23.
Ooh, I mean that is a pretty solid beating you're picking.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I feel like they're gonna make the Ravens one-dimensional early. I think the Ravens. I mean, if you you're looking at, I think they think that the Bills are susceptible to the run. Like their run defense isn't great. They invite you to run the ball on them. And then like a boa constrictor, they just hem it up, and they're gonna make them one-dimensional. Lamar's gonna have to win in the pocket, and I just don't think that he's gonna be able to do it this game.
Okay,
it's gonna feed right into the Bills' game plan.
Benford with the pick, Miller with the sack.
Yeah.
God, you should go actually build that parlay because it would be massive. I mean,
I know, Rob. It's just $5,000 just in the bag.
Oh yeah,
I could take you to Sizzler.
That's right. We're going to Golden Corral.
Golden Corral, baby. You know what? You can get all the meat you want, all the desserts you want. I don't even care. Okay, like you do whatever you want, dog.
I love when you buy me fried shrimp, baby.
All right, man. Well, listen. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, staying up tonight. I know you might have to go to work tomorrow, but it's all good. I mean, how could you go to sleep and wake up and not just feel blessed that you got to hang out with us and see my face on the screen, bro? You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were going to say that you get to watch the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, but no,
nah.
Your face.
You got to hang out with us
tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, man, it's been fun. Maybe we'll have to do this again. I like the results of the late night tip. It's kind of fun. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow there will be no server issues on my end, and everything works well, man. I hope everything goes well for you, Rob, as you do your thing tomorrow.
I love you, brother.
I love you too, man.
And go Bills.
Go Bills. Be safe out there, and we will see you next time.